hosting scuba classes there.
I can.
Okay.
I saw what looked a lot like Emery in the hay truck.
But I was gonna say, is that Emery coming in right now?
There's people rushing madly getting hay in today.
I think it'd be great, I'm just gonna say this before we start, if we move the clock over to that wall, we could actually
We could see it.
There'd be no glare on it. It's just a
I
thought.
can have Rick do
I mean,
that.
it's perfect for me.
I ignore the clock and
Can you
use my
see
phone.
it with the glare
Because
though?
my phone's
There's no glare.
there.
Oh, I can never see what time.
Oh, cause this whole side, we can't see the thing, that's why
I
we're
do.
honestly.
It is 5:14.
It's 5:14. We have another minute, which is a lifetime for Emery. That's like an hour.
He's gonna come in on two wheels.
I saw him ripping through town. I'm like, geez, I hope no one recognizes you. You're a very recognizable hay truck doing 40 through the
Glad
center
he's
of
getting
town.
hay,
Yeah,
because I'm gonna need some.
Not so good.
There he is. He's just hitting the head.
Was he?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he had his personal vehicle being followed behind him, I'm assuming, just to come to this.
Okay, so I go for a walk in my hometown, and it looks completely fake. Nobody's gonna believe that.
That should be a movie set.
It is a movie set.
Especially if they had the Tamworth Inn still to house all the actors, which would have been sweet.
Yeah. Well, Remick's could house, the museum could house a ton of people. Like, isn't Doc Remick's house empty? What's in there?
I have no idea. Don't tell me things like that. It makes me crazy.
Yeah, well,
It's,
They could make some money and then pay us payment in lieu of tax.
Oh.
I'm down with that.
Okay.
And the state gets a lot.
Were you serious that he just went in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll just wait for him.
We'll stall.
I mean, unless you want a chair.
Well, I have
He's
your
right
chair
here.
for 30
Coming up.
seconds.
There he is.
Saved by the bell.
Just on time.
I
Okay.
was just saying about your dad had to take a nap. You guys had to wait so long last night.
That was rough.
It was an interesting meeting. It was one of the busiest meetings we've ever had that in the year and a half I've been on the board.
Okay. Open up this meeting here.
Look at that
Oh,
timing.
God.
Okay, now you gotta
Cutting
start
it
it.
so
Close.
close.
Richard Deuce.
Yes. You're the best, Carl.
Okay.
It being
16.
5:16, I call the Selectmen's meeting to order.
And we're going into non-public.
I make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:3, 2A, Session 1, and non-public under RSA 91-A:3, 2A, Section 2.
Second.
Shake his head.
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. We are now in non-public at 5:17 p.m.
Doc, you're paying.
I make a motion to, am I good now? I make a motion to come out of non-public at 6:05 p.m.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. We are now at non-public at 6:05 p.m. The minutes are not sealed. We're gonna move on to, are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Just
Lakes.
leave that.
Gonna
Yeah.
add the Lakes Region Planning Commission vacancy discussion. Moving on to new business.
And Richard, I think that's gonna be different than you thought it was. Planning board made a motion last night.
Yep. I'm aware.
Library parking discussion with Mary Cronin.
Is she on? I think she's
on
on
there.
She
there,
is.
right there.
Yep, her mic's off. I don't know, Mary, if you want to turn your mic on.
There it is.
Here I am.
Oh, good audio, too.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting this on the agenda. I'm hoping for, my granddaughter's getting ready for bed. Hold on a minute. Okay, so what we're hoping for is to make it a little easier for some of our patrons to get into the library. We've been hearing and noticing that some people have to walk quite a distance. As you know, the town parking lot's across the street. For most people that works fine, but some people can't walk all that distance in order to get into the library. And right now, the only marked handicap space in the village is in front of the Lyceum, and I pasted out the other day, that's 100 feet from the front door of the library, which is a bit of a walk, and even more so if you're, 89 years old, and it's 89 degrees out, which was happening quite frequently this summer. So people are having trouble finding places to park. And we do communicate with our neighbors, and try to make sure that the people that are working in town all day aren't parking in front of the library, and for the most part, they've been very understanding and do work with us about that. But we're just trying to hopefully get a handicap space in front of the library, and maybe a couple of more spaces if we could. So it's not just the elderly, it's also parents who are dropping their kids off at the library. If they're parents that have more than one kid, if you have the little one in the car, you're gonna probably want the 10-year-old to get out and come in the library on their own. But if they're parked across the street, they don't feel safe having their child cross the street, as you can understand. So those are a couple of things that we've noticed, very specific cases of things we've noticed at the library. Besides, we know that people who are coming to the library, some of our older patrons, if they don't see a spot right in front of the library, they will keep driving. They just won't come in. So that's what's happening.
Well, we saw the diagrams that you supplied, and have you had a chance to look at?
Yeah, I looked at them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. I just don't think we should put any parking under those trees. As it is now, people are parking there, and if two vehicles meet there, they can. Somebody has to go out around the tree.
That's parallel parking there, right?
Well, no, there's no parking spaces in front
Oh,
of
there's
them.
no parking
There's no
spaces.
parking spaces there
Oh,
now.
okay.
Nothing's.
And I don't, my feeling is, I don't think there should be. It's bad enough there when they're parked there, and if two cars come there, there's just room enough for one to get by.
Yeah.
That's my feeling. And as far as putting a handicapped one, I mean, we can move the handicapped parking space closer to the library.
Did you see the three?
I did.
Did that seem appropriate, or did that look too crowded?
I think we could do two, is my feeling.
Once again, because of the room for traffic.
Yeah, for traffic to get by.
Yeah.
And
With the utility pole right there.
it's hard, it
Yeah.
is. And as everybody knows, parking in the village it's a nightmare. It is. And about the only thing we're going for us right now is, I mean, thank God the Lyceum isn't open. Well, no, I'm just being honest, I don't,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a busy place, and there's very limited parking. And I do agree with Mary, Mary, that we do need to address it. I've looked at it again, and I've gotta have my guy come back and do the sidewalks again in Chicora, because the state didn't tell me they were gonna pave when I asked them last spring.
Oh,
But do that, and when he's here, maybe we could address that across the street too. Get a handicap one closer, and maybe try to get a couple more spots in there. That's my feeling.
Can I just ask a question, Richard? I'm curious, what's the width a parking spot needs to be if it's, head-on in? I don't know the rules for how wide a spot normally is.
If it's head-on?
If it's if people are parking head-on, you thought maybe we could get two spots there. Is there a state rule about?
No, I wish I could say it off the top of my head, and honestly, I don't know. I wish I don't.
We
Yeah.
had to deal with that too, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Oh, because when you were designing.
Yeah, back.
I think it's about 10 feet.
It's gotta be.
That's
I
what
think it's 10
It's
feet.
gotta be,
I'm pretty
Yeah.
I
sure.
would think.
yeah.
And is a
How wide
handicap
are-
spot as wide
Well,
as a regular one?
That usually takes two spots.
Yeah,
Because when they pull in, they also have to be access if you have a wheelchair or something, so they can get out.
Especially if it's at that edge.
Yes.
If it's going in, if
Yeah.
it's the first spot going in there, then there's no spot next to it.
Yeah. But,
So you think it's kind of 10 feet basically?
yeah,
Okay.
I think that we could put that handicap one like as close as we could to the library entrance.
Yeah.
And I'll take a look at it again, and maybe we can try to get two more in, right there, just,
The Google machine says 8.5 to 9 feet wide by 18 feet long. So it's
Yeah.
longer than I thought too.
yeah.
And can I ask another question?
Sure.
The parking spot out front here, somebody gave me grief one day because I parked where there's a handicap picture, but that just means handicap parking around the back,
Around
right?
the back, yes.
And so I think that's confusing to
Yeah.
people.
It
That's
is.
always what I thought, but I think the idea is that it says there's handicap parking and a way in around the back.
Back, right.
Yeah.
But people do not park there sometimes because they think it's handicapped. Whether we
you're
think
right.
that's a great idea or not, I don't know. Maybe just
Okay.
not.
Maybe we need to add some words to it.
Yeah.
Go around
It
back
took me
or
years to
something.
figure out that
Yeah.
wasn't a handicap spot.
And
And
I
I
think-
actually saw a handicap person parked in it today,
Yeah.
out here.
Oh, yeah.
And I also had a suggestion for Mary, that we had to do this in Chicora at the library there, because I involved that quite a bit. That we actually put a sign up that during library hours, like these parking spots are for library patrons. And that worked out very well. It
And
really
Richard,
did.
we would love that, but
I just-
we were hoping maybe to make it a small sign, so it's not like something that takes up a lot of space and looks like another sign. But
Right.
we saw what you did there,
In
and that was,
Chicora.
that would be super
Because we
helpful.
ran into the same problem,
Yeah.
and I could make it smaller,
Yeah.
too. I just, running that by you folks, that I think that's something we should think about. Because people are pretty respectful of that.
So,
A lot of people won't know what the hours are, but
But it's just, put it out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you're saying that, where I always park when I go to the library, under those trees, those two spots, nobody should be parking there because it makes the road too narrow?
It does, it does. And we can put no parking there, whatever, people are still gonna
Still
park
gonna do it,
there.
yeah.
But,
people tend to use it last or avoid it. So it doesn't get used as much as the others because I think they realize
yeah,
that
Yeah.
it's pretty tight. I think
there-
some people, it's my wife's favorite parking spot because it's in the shade.
But I think some
Yeah.
people park there to access the Wi-Fi, and they sit in their car and use
Oh,
their
yeah.
Wi-Fi all day
Yeah.
in that spot.
yeah.
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 It would be a tragedy to take those spots away, because they are so heavily used by people in short-term use.
Yeah.
But, and I agree with you there, but I also agree that it's a safety issue.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody goes 15 miles an hour through the village,
Sure don't.
as we all know.
No one does, I don't
Well,
And it's a funky spot because the pole's floating around in the middle of the road.
it is.
And a lot of people don't know what to do with that. They get totally confused.
A lot of them just go around the pole,
Yes.
Yeah.
but,
Should they?
No.
no,
No.
I don't think so.
but.
I
No,
mean,
I'm,
is that any way to make arrows like you do go that way?
No, because it's private property.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure who owns it yet. I think
Okay.
it's, at some point you're out of it.
maybe we could get them to move the telephone pole,
Yeah?
That would
Thank
be a good idea.
but they won't.
I was gonna ask about the pole, whether, there was any chance of moving it and maybe making the road.
Taking
Does
it-
Mary, I have tried
Yeah,
twice, I got no place, but I'll try again, okay? I've tried twice to get them to move it,
And
because it
know
would
if
help
I can help.
everybody.
Who's the them in this case? The
phone company?
property owner or the power
No,
company?
no.
the phone company, right?
The phone,
phone
well,
poles.
they do now, but Eversource, it's gonna own them all pretty soon.
Oh,
It's
okay.
electric or phone?
It
Phone
was
right
phone,
now.
but Eversource is buying all the poles in
Well,
this area.
might be a little easier when.
It's Eversource, oh, yes, I agree 100% there.
Probably when it's time to replace
So-
it, that's when it might
so
be
the
able to
pole-
remove.
we're gonna have to be calling SIG today when we have the walkway from where the steps we install out to the street, when we have that walkway done, because there is some underground lines going from that pole to our electrical, connection on that side of the building. And as we were working on the steps, the contractor found that it's only that deep. Not even two inches underground, the
Power supply?
electric line. So that might be a reason to advocate for maybe doing something different with that pole and the lines.
Well,
And the other thing
yeah,
I
that's-
wanted to mention is, looking forward a little bit, and as far as the parking overall in the village, just thinking about maybe adding EV chargers and stuff, and think about very carefully where you put them. You can put them down in the townhouse and make it, spread that parking out through the village a little bit by moving some of the cars down that end of the village.
Good,
That's a good point.
yeah, all right.
Is there any other questions?
One
or
quick
comments?
comment.
Yes.
I just happened to Google too, and the handicap space has to be minimally 8 for vans, but the additional space is only 5 feet, not a whole block. Not, it doesn't take 2 complete parking spaces, just,
Yeah.
you have to have a
One and a
5-foot
half,
alley.
sort of, yeah.
Yeah,
Good,
that's a little better.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, I
Well, I'll
think
look-
the select board is supportive of whatever additional parking that you can agree would be safe to install.
You can also, I will reach out to Eversource too. They're pretty good.
Be interesting if they did take that pole out, how you
Well,
would
just
design
Where
some
they're
kind
gonna
of
move it
edge
to.
of the street, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
need a planter or something.
okay. All
Yeah.
right, good.
All right. Any other questions or comments on this? thank you very much for joining us this evening, Mary. And I guess we'll move on to the Tamworth Community Nurses Update with June Priel.
Thank you, everybody, and have a good
Yeah,
night.
thank you, Richard. Have a great
Bye,
night.
Mary.
Yes, continuing on the parking theme.
And I just want to interrupt, can somebody identify who they are on the iPhone 165? iPhone 165, can you tell me who you are that just joined? Okay, no.
Well, it says,
Oh, Mary Cronin, Cook Library.
Oh,
Oh, no, that's,
no.
I lost my audio.
Linda,
no.
thank you, Linda.
All right.
Okay.
All set? Yeah. I just feel that it's important to come before you from time to time with an update, especially since we're getting close to shovels. I sent around an agenda of my remarks, and I have a couple things to add, but nothing major. The first is cost estimates and fundraising. We're still fussing with that with our construction manager, but we're in the range of 1.5 to 1.6 million, and we have raised a hard 1.2 million so far, so we're very close, and have some other grants pending, so I think we certainly have met our threshold of 75% and can start. Which brings up the construction schedule. We're going to start here September 18th, very close. Not much, right to start with, it's just, clearing up. The generator has to move around the corner because it's now sitting in the footprint just behind the building. The gas line has to be disconnected so we don't blow everything up when we excavate, and they'll reroute that line. So then there's excavation for the foundation, which will be poured this fall, and then not the slab, just the foundation, and that will be covered until spring to continue construction. And if you remember, probably you don't, but when we originally planned, we thought it would take till March to raise the money, and so that's what we told the construction manager, the probable start date. So he's got his project managers lined up for March, and even though we might be ready to go now, it's not feasible. So we'll protect the foundation, hold that over winter, and as a result, actually, there will be a few parking spots lost over winter. We'll restore them when we extend the parking lot in the spring, when we complete the parking lot. I also want to make sure you know that when this pre-construction work goes on with the gas line and the generator, that HVAC will be down, not functional in this building for 3 to 4 days that week of September. Minimize it, but so hope it's not a really hot or really freezing cold day. The other thing to mention, if you remember the diagram, we are very close, all of our buildings are very close to the east boundary. And so there is a rock wall there and a lot of vegetation having grown up in the berm that's been pushed up against it as a result of the construction of this building, and that's going to have to come out. So there will be some excavation on our side of that boundary line to remove the berm and the trees that have grown out of that. If there's still plenty of trees on the abutter side, so it's not going to wreck the tree line, but it will be a change. We have a landscaping budget. If there's any issues with that, we can replace trees in the future. Interestingly, there was in our site plan, I know you can't see this, I'm just pointing, you can see Main Street, and this is where we are. This corner is ambiguous, and I just want to mention that because it might be something the select board wants to pursue in the future. What the surveyor said is, the survey in 1968 did show the boundary between the front portion of the town property and the land of the Gilman House, which is next door. But the location of the corner of the iron fence shown on that plan from '68 and that of the stone bound found recently in this plan differ. And the stone bound found has been held as the line. But he says, due to the lack of original evidence found and ambiguous property descriptions, a boundary line agreement is recommended for that corner boundary. So it might be something you want to pursue. We did talk to the abutter about it because for a while we thought we might need the generator further down and really close to that line there. They're open to doing that. So just something for you to think about in the future, and not in case you don't have enough to do. Any questions about that so far?
Yes. Will the farmer's market be back there in the winter?
Yeah.
I'd like to be,
So what impact might that have on
I don't
the
think
farmer's
much. I
market?
mean, it will take up, you know, a little, some of the space right at the north of the building, but most of that activity was back on the gravel portion, and it's just parking here, so I
it'll
think,
just take a few parking spots
Yeah.
away from
yeah.
Okay.
So,
people coming to
yeah.
the market.
We're planning that will go on as usual. Any other questions about that?
I've got one that's more procedural. There's been some internal discussion with Keats and myself and our attorneys as to whether there should be and when it would be a good idea to have a new written agreement between the TCNA and the town. I think it would be very helpful to at least have a draft of that before construction starts, and I don't know how feasible that is.
Well, as you may or may not recall, our memorandum of understanding contains some draft language. There's really only 2 paragraphs that have to be changed. The description of the leasehold and the fact that we're paying our own utilities. Those are the 2 things. It would be pretty simple to get that done, I think, because
Right.
it's a trivial change and we've all agreed to do it. Maybe I can work with Carl, our liaison, to get that done. It's in good faith, it's in place. And, you know, whether we have it officially done by September 18th, that may be tight. But if you're agreeable, we'll proceed and go ahead with a clear understanding based on a signed agreement that that's what's going to be the case. So,
And would that ultimately need to go to town meeting? Do we know?
no,
Was that in the past?
No.
no.
Okay,
This
then it's much simpler.
Yeah, the stipulation says it can be changed by either party.
Great. Thank you.
Select board. Yeah, so I think we're good.
So, I have a question. So you said that the foundation is gonna be poured. I guess for some reason, I didn't think that there was gonna be a cellar, that it was gonna be a
Not a
slab.
It's a slab on
Just a-
grade.
Okay.
Yeah, slab on grade, but there's
Just
still a
It's
foundation.
just a 4-foot frost wall.
I'm just wondering about securing it so nobody stumbles into
Yeah,
it or
you know,
whatever
I
else,
don't,
but-
that, yeah.
It would still be filled, I would assume.
You put some caution tape or something up,
Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
be filled up.
And then a bunch of
And maybe
tarps or
some
hay bales or
fencing, we have some
something.
Yeah, you can
fencing in
put
our
some-
pre-construction stuff, so not to worry. We'll double check that.
Yeah.
Did I mention the sewer septic yet?
Nope.
It's in,
What-
it's in
what-
what you sent us, but you didn't
Yes,
say.
what meeting is complete without mention
Yeah.
sewer system or parking? Our folks have done, our engineers have done the calculations, and we do have enough pitch to get into, from the new building to get into the sewer system. That was a critical fact. Of course, we have no DES approval yet of our system, so, but we are planning, one reason we can't lay the slab, because we don't know if the pipes should go north to a septic system out there, or if they should come this way. But if it comes to the town's sewer, we hope so, because that would be another $23,000 to $30,000 to put in a septic system. But if it does, it would come out, this is the building, I know you can't really envision this, but the building's back there. The sewer line will come out, headed west, come across the front, and under the cellar, under the foundation here, to join the sewer system in your cellar. And that's all been sort of calculated and looked at, and it would mean, if we do that, we have to trench out the sidewalk, and we will find an alternative ADA access, because that's the ADA access to your building, is that ramped walk out there. So we thought that through pretty well. We're still hoping that can happen, even though it's, a lot of digging and messy, but it would sure beat the digging and messy and expense of the septic system. And since this won't happen until the spring, there's a chance, that DES and the Sewer Commission can get this resolved. I suppose if we come to the point where it's not resolved, we just have to bite the bullet, but let's just hope to God that doesn't happen, so.
How much is the difference between trenching out to the sewer though, and putting it in your septic, I'm guessing the 23 to 30,000 would be the entire cost of the septic.
Yeah, the leach field, the septic, we need a pump.
Yeah.
We have to pump it uphill.
But what's the difference between going to the street and putting it in your septic?
I don't have that number with me,
Yeah.
but
Because, I mean, it would be taking up more capacity for the other users that would be looking up to hook up the system where.
not much though. I mean, sewer commission, honestly, they're not worried about that because it's a trivial addition.
I mean, they're getting rid of one toilet
That's right.
in the
Well,
space they're in.
but you're still taking up gallons per day. I mean, and I can't imagine that the cost is $23,000 difference between trenching out to there and going into your septic. I mean, I understand that's $23,000 to $30,000, but it's going to cost quite a
Some
bit, I would think,
thousands to
to
come this way.
trench out to the street and repave everything.
Well, yeah, it's, I mean, we're putting a top coat of paving on the whole parking lot, I mean, so it's kind of included, right? But I don't have a hard number for you, but I will check it out.
I would be curious
Uh-huh.
to see what the difference would be.
I should have, in fact, a guaranteed maximum price by the end of this week from the construction company, and there'll be an itemized list in there about all of those items, so I can probably, calculate it out for you. Okay.
Anything else?
No, I'm not quite done.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, yeah. I did mention previously that we are committed and have signed a contract for solar roof panels on the addition, and that would be sufficient, calculated to be sufficient to meet our utility and HVAC costs, which is great since we're not paying our own. There has been talk, as some of you know, about some EV charging stations back there, and I've been emailing with Gabriella on the Energy Committee. I think it would be important, if that is going to go forward, that the select board maybe would need to vote in favor of EV stations that are connected to the town electrical system, and the credit card use accrues to the town. It's got nothing to do with TCNA. We will help put it in, find some funds to help get this installed, if that's what you all want. But it really isn't our decision about that. It's, I don't know how that really works. I know you go up and put your credit card in, and then you pay whoever is collecting the money, and that would be the town. So there's all that stuff. And now, maybe the idea of putting some down in the town hall park.
We don't know that.
So, anyway, there is that. And if we get more specifics on this, I think you'll need to take it up as a formal vote.
Well, and that should be, I know we've talked about it before and have been supportive when it's come to us because there was grant funding and whatever else, but given Mary's point tonight, we didn't talk, I think we just assumed that, that's the town parking lot, and we didn't talk about the townhouse. So I think it has to be an agenda item where we talk about that in a focused way.
It might be considerably more expensive to put them at the townhouse, because you'd have to, I don't think you could steal the power from the townhouse over to there. I'm guessing that's not.
Got enough power.
Yeah, I'm assuming. I don't know that for sure. I don't know how much the EV charging stations
Yeah.
take.
Yeah, so let's just, we don't have to get into it now, but
But,
let's
just a
just.
thought.
I'm just
Yeah, let's
telling
look
you,
into it.
that we,
Thank you.
I'm trying to collect data on it and costs, but then I realized that may be a waste of time. At least we were gonna lay an empty conduit for the Energy Committee, but that isn't so easy. Recommendation is to wire when you lay the conduit, so like how much more would it cost to put in, well, then if you're gonna put in the wires, how much more would it cost to put up the station?
Right.
Well, maybe it's gonna be like $15,000 for the whole ball of wax, in which case, let's raise a little more money and
Just do the whole thing.
and do it. So, please, yes, do discuss it.
When do you need to know by? April?
Oh, no, I know, because I think we're doing, well, yeah, they're probably gonna do the underground wiring for the light, the parking lot light relocations. But I think he needs to know about the conduits now when he's doing the excavation for the foundation, so like within the next month probably. And the Energy Committee, well, we felt that because we're TCNA, that certainly one of the EV stations should be in the handicap lots back there. We're not gonna, and then another one to a farther parking lot so that people who have electric vehicles aren't favored or something, but, you know, the placement's a little too. But certainly, you know, if we're helping with it, we would suggest that one be shared between a handicap lot and an ordinary lot next to it. They're usually dual charging stations, so two spots. So there's that. Our maintenance guy, Rick Morrow, cleverly suggested that we salvage the siding on the north end of the building for use in replacing, store it, keep it, and that's very smart.
I want to salvage the windows
She
too.
wants the windows in case you remodel over here, so we'll make sure we continue about that. One of the, and this is the last, unless you have other questions, you know that we're in a good position because of this big award we got from NHCDFA. It is a loan. I want to remind you that it's a loan, non-interest, fully forgivable, if we complete the project and have a certificate of occupancy. And we're getting a loan contract before the end of this month, which is coming right up. They've been slow to get those out because they have some things to solve for people, but for the awardees. But we will certainly have legal counsel look at that loan. They suggest that just to be sure that we're all on good footing. I don't think it will involve you all, the town, in any way, because we have the independent award to the Nurses Association. The town is not named on it except as a supporter and collaborator. So, you know, it makes me a little nervous, like, what if we didn't get that loan? It's $850,000. We maybe should move the generator next month, but we're good, I think. It's just that, you know, kind of, it's on my back. We're worried about it. Not really, but just, you know, it's like a lot of responsibility, so. Anything else?
No, that sounds great.
I think we're in good shape. Remarkable, actually. It's
Yeah,
just,
really is.
you know, people have come forward so willingly and generously. And this grant application, there were 46 applications. They only funded 16, so we are happy to have made that cut. So, okay,
Great.
all right, and I'll try to get some.
Yeah.
It's not. I think it was like. I don't remember. I won't even.
Okay.
We did discuss it, but I don't remember the number, and it's definitely an advantage to do what we just said.
Oh, I'm sure it's less. I just am curious to see if it's $2,000 less or if
No,
it's $25,000
It's
less.
quite it's thousands less, but
Okay.
because, you know, of the pumping uphill and the grinder and all the stuff that we have to have independently back there, it really adds up, I guess, so,
Yeah, I'd hate to do a pump station if we didn't have to.
yeah. Am I dismissed?
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
You have a notebook there? Laptop.
Do you have an iPad?
Oh, yes, that would not be good. My life would be over.
Alright, moving on to the New Hampshire Public Deposit Investment Pool update. Updated investment policy with Annie Burke.
Okay, I just wanted to give you guys a real quick update. So Bob Seston came and met with myself and Elaine Sherman and Keats last week, and he wanted to bring to my attention that the New Hampshire Public Deposit Investment Pool, PDIP, we'll call it, has a really good interest rate right now, and that's where the trustee of the trust funds keep the town's trust funds, and they're making, you know, just fairly recently a really good interest rate. So he wanted to say, hey, maybe the town should move some of the money out of the regular bank and put it into this instead to earn more interest. And so I looked into it over the last week, and I talked to the local bank that we use, which has been giving us a rate of 1% for the last year or so, which was up from next to nothing for a very long time. And so I was like, ooh, 1%, great. And that's what we've been going with for a while. But Bob Seston said right now, and the rate changes weekly, the NHPDIP has a 5.44% interest rate, and that's what the trust funds are earning currently. So, as the treasurer, it's my job just to keep track of all this, keep my eye on it, and move the money where it's most advantageous for the town. I don't need approval from anybody to do it, it's part of my job. But I just wanted to keep you guys informed of what I'm thinking. So I looked into that. There's a fee. NHPDIP does charge a fee, which would bring that interest rate basically down to 5.19% this week. Like I said, it changes. So I called our local bank and I said, I'm thinking of moving our chunk of money, which right now is about $4 million. It goes up and down depending on the tax payment schedule, but right now it's at a high amount, around $4 million. And I said, I'm thinking of moving out the bulk of that and moving it to the PDIP, and they went, oh no, that's big. And so they said, we're gonna have you talk to the vice president and la la la. So anyway, I spoke with her today, and they really want us to stay, and they offered us an amazing rate. I was shocked, of 4.85% to stay.
They should have been giving us that the whole time.
I know that they should have been giving us
And
the
how
whole
long
time.
would that rate be good for?
She said she would guarantee it through the end of this year, and then we can reassess. We can always move to NHPDIP anytime, obviously. But if the interest rates start to go down and she has to drop that rate, they're going to go down at PDIP as well.
Right.
PDIP will always be a little bit more than the bank because they have costs they need to cover at the bank. But I was shocked at how close they were able to get us. And to me, I feel like I just want to stay with the bank because one, they're federally insured, where NHPDIP is not. Well, they have their own way of collateralization, but they're not federally insured. They swear up and down that their funds are safe, and I'm sure there are. But also, I have a great relationship with the local bank, and it's nice to support a local business.
Yeah.
And I feel like they want us and need us, and are offering their best rate. So I think I'll say, yeah, sure, let's try it. And we should be making a lot more interest, going from 1% to 4.85.
Absolutely.
And she also
Incredible
said
increase.
she'll guarantee it toward the end of the. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
She also said she'll guarantee it to the end of this year, but in the meantime they'll reassess every month, and if the interest rates continue to climb, she will make it go higher. She'll promise not to make it go lower, but she
She
could
will go up.
she could raise it
Wow.
in that time period.
Yeah, that's a really
So-
nice offer.
I said that's a really nice offer.
Yeah.
And
They
then-
really don't want us to take our money and
Well, I
run.
bet, yeah.
And then at that point, at the end of the year, you could see what the interest rates are like
Yes.
for both.
For
and
both,
then
absolutely.
maybe
I
use
could-
it as a negotiating tactic.
And you should, yeah, right. But she said now we're sort of on this track where she's being very transparent about giving us the max that they can. And she explained how they work out the rate. They basically take that rate that PDIP is offering, which is like the maximum rate anyone will ever give you, and they have to take off a certain number of points just for their costs. And then that's the rate they're giving, as high as they possibly can, just to keep our money. So I just wanted to give you that update.
Thanks for digging into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
That's good news.
it's good news. And I haven't told Bob Seston yet, but I'll send him an email, and because he was really pushing for us to move it to.
I know he came here and talked to us about it.
Yeah, and we.
He'll be thrilled
and-
by this outcome.
And Keats assisted me in querying a bunch of other towns that use it, and some said, yeah, it's great, and some said, well, we don't use it for our daily operating costs because it's kind of a pain, but it's good for like a savings account. And so, you know, we have our checking account and all our daily operating stuff at our local bank, and it's just very easy to use. That's the other reason I'm really happy to stay there, because for Elaine and I, it's like a well-oiled machine right now. We, you know, we're like, yay, we don't have to learn a whole new system. We
Yeah.
put all that time in.
Good.
So anyway, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
very much for coming in tonight.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna move on to the transfer station report and transfer station fees discussion with Glenn Johnson. Good evening.
Good evening. Everything's going well up there. Things are running smoothly. We need a couple of repairs. Need a new roll on one of the containers, and the safety chain needs to be repaired. Other than that, we don't have anything going right now for repairs. Machinery's running well. Customers are overwhelming, but everything's running well.
Especially some of them, right?
Well, I won't mention anybody's names.
From a budgeting perspective, are the repairs in the,
There, so far, we're still in the budget.
And then, any questions for Glenn as far
Yeah,
as the
just-
daily?
well, I wanted to have a discussion about, we had talked about large venues in the area and some of the trash problems that they have generated. I don't know if you could elaborate on that more from the board.
Well, we have several areas that have wedding parties. We have some in South Tamworth, we have a couple one up here on the hill. We have one over on Page Hill,
One of Lancet.
no,
Oh,
Hillbrook Road there.
oh yeah.
And stuff, and when they come in, they bring all their trash. And it is far from recycled. Glass and everything is all mixed together. And they come in with 1, 2, 3 pickup loads a weekend if they have a wedding party or something. And I was just talking with Steve, wondering if there was some way that we could charge them a business type fee or something. Whether that is something that we'd have to run by the town meeting, or how that would go.
I just assumed it was just open for residents. I didn't know businesses could come and do that.
Well, anybody that pays taxes can come in. Anybody that
Particularly if
owns
it's
property pays
contaminated, it
taxes.
doesn't make sense.
Right, and it's a large influx to
Mm-hmm.
what we're hauling out, so.
And obviously, quite a lot of it's glass and aluminum.
Well, this last weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I filled up approximately 25 or 26 tons of garbage. I filled 2 containers. Around 12, 13 ton a container.
How much is it a ton to get rid of?
83.75 or something like that, $84.
I mean, it's,
It's over $1,000 each time I ship a container.
yeah,
I'm not sure if there's something we can do for businesses, if part of their business licensing covers the haul-away fee for the trash that they generate.
In my opinion, it's too bad that these businesses don't get their own dumpsters, because it's a
Yeah.
really
That's the
cheap.
way I look at it
Right.
too,
It's
but
really pretty cheap to do. That's
there's no
obviously,
way
I
the
mean, they're
town
tax, they are taxpayers, they pay a big portion of taxes in town, so that's the other side of it, but, my feeling is they'd probably be best off just to.
Well, we do have other businesses in town that do have their own dumpsters.
Oh, yeah, quite a few, and I think that's probably, if you're not gonna separate this stuff, I mean,
Right.
as far as we're concerned, you know, I think that's the first step is, but it's probably tough, you know, you can't enforce that at a
Yeah.
event.
a wedding.
Um,
Can we just look into what other towns do?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
that's.
we could,
I mean,
that'd be
especially-
a first step.
The thing that makes it difficult up here at our transfer station is we're not mandatory recycling.
Right,
If I try to ask people, we buy these containers, we use them, it'd be nice if you would use them once in a while, put a little bit of stuff in them once in a while. You know, try to shame them into doing it, but when it comes right down to brass tacks, I can't force anybody to put anything anywhere other than the feeble items.
Do some towns have mandatory recycling?
Well, a lot of them do.
Yeah.
There's very few of us that don't.
Are the wedding venues bringing just trash, or are they bringing recyclables and recycling? Or is it all just going in the?
It's all just
and
going
it's-
in,
Mixed, oh, yeah.
And it's part of the
dumpster.
problem.
They drive
would
up with a
separate.
Yeah.
they drive up with a pickup truck. Well, Steve was there one
Yep.
day when one of them came in. And it's just bag after bag in it, clang and bang every time.
Yeah.
It's all the glass and big bottles and whatever.
So maybe a little more investigation. so
Yeah,
like-
we can, I definitely think.
We go to the-
I mean, I think at the least, it's reasonable for the select board to send a letter to establishments that are having big events on a regular basis as part of their business model, at the least asking that they ensure that they're making every effort to separate their recycling. Because that adds to the cost for the town if they don't. I mean, that's a
At the
that's
very
a
least.
lowball thing that we could do.
Yeah, sure.
Alright. I think that's a start, and then we could maybe contact some other towns, figure out if they do anything with, as far as businesses go, as far as additional cost or anything. Or just.
The only thing with something like that is if we do with business, what would we do like with people like Jeffrey Tavares Jr., Kurt Perkins? Kurt does painting work, but he has a side business of picking up trash for other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Tavares does his landscaping, but I know he brings in construction material, brush, makes money off of that from all of the people that he has other work for. So if we keep doing it for the wedding venues, do we have to do it on all of those?
Yeah, I think it
You see what
might
I'm
be
saying?
businesses as
Yeah.
We can't segregate,
Right.
Yep.
so that's,
Well, we can look into it and
Yeah.
figure out
Yeah.
what other towns do for businesses, maybe send out some type of letter, but again, it's hard to send out to a letter to certain people and not others.
right.
Or maybe it's,
Well, you could do all wedding venues.
Yeah.
maybe we can make
Right.
up a pamphlet and you
That's-
can hand it to the businesses when they come in.
Okay. I'm doing that though.
That's the new guy's job.
Yeah.
You wanna keep him, Glenn.
Oh,
True.
Alright, and so now, I guess, any other questions? Until we get on to,
The tire fee.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Glenn.
so I guess this is the transfer station fee discussion, and this is mainly tires.
tires.
Correct.
We went over this a couple years ago, I believe.
You know, about a year and a half or so ago that you were here,
Yeah.
and that was the last time they raised the rate, and we had to raise ours, which I hadn't changed in 30 years. The rates have been the same and stuff. They've been pretty stable. But this last time they went up, one of the tire rates went up $100.
Right.
And most of them went up 2 and some of them went up 4.
Right.
Do you think, I know we maybe differ opinions a little bit on this last time, but do you think that it's appropriate do you think we had any issues with what we did last time?
I don't think there was any problem.
Do you think it's appropriate, I know we just raised them a year and a half ago, do you think it's appropriate since they went up a little bit on us that we should go up a little bit on the other end?
On the customer?
Yes.
Well, if we don't, we're gonna be losing money on tires.
Okay.
Okay, when I got this information, I called down and talked to Jen down there at the tire company. The one that was in Maine's gone out of business, and I don't know of any other. Everybody around here uses Bob. And I didn't know. I asked about like two-wheeler tires, wheelbarrow tires, riding lawnmower, small riding lawnmower tires, and bicycle tires. Motorcycle I use like a car tire because they're usually a larger tire. But Jen told me that all tires are based on car tire price. Well, a bicycle tire now, if someone to throw it away, would be $5. That's what they went to. I can't see people tossing a bicycle tire away to pay $5. A wheelbarrow tire or these small utility trailer tires, $5 a piece. When you can put a 19 or a 19.5 in for $5. Full-size car tire. I see a lot of those being beside the road or folded up somehow in a trash bag being thrown in with the trash. I don't think, I can't see anybody in their right mind paying $5 to throw a bicycle tire away.
Right.
Or a wheelbarrow tire.
I think there's a lot of people walking around that aren't in their right mind, so.
Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of them.
But is it, so you're saying with the bicycle and wheelbarrow tires, we should keep it?
I've only been charging $1 a piece for bicycle tires,
Okay.
and nobody complains. But
So do you think it's
every
worth?
time we take one in for $1, we lose 4.
Right.
But what are you gonna do?
And the sheet you have in front of you, so I took the charges, the new charges provided by Bob.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of put my take on the fees. I marked in red the one that we'd be losing money on, the green, the ones we're making money on, and no highlighting is a pass-through.
So we don't have the old charge.
The old charge is the current fee
Current
on the left column.
That's what we pay, Bob, and until the most recent.
But is that that's what we charge as
That's what
well?
we're currently charging
And
customers.
that's
Yes.
what we pay. Right now we're,
But now, with this last load,
We're paying more now than we
Yeah,
were.
we
I
paid
don't have the
what
historical.
we paid on this load
Oh,
is
okay.
what
okay,
the
that's what I was
charge-
wondering. I was like, there
Right.
shouldn't be another category.
I did mean to ask Glenn for that, but I forgot, and the last load I think was, when did we haul tires last? Was it February?
February or somewhere right there,
Right.
yes.
So we don't know how many times they've changed since February. This is just the latest since we hauled.
Well, what she said is, the tire, we have gone up on our pricing since you were last hauled.
Right. Right. So the other thing that changed is there was a 15% fuel
Well,
surcharge.
yeah.
And now it's down to 5%.
Before, when they first put the fuel charge on, it was 15%. Now, if the price of fuel has gone down, it started going back up.
Of course.
But anyway, now that it's gone down, it's 5%. And the driver charged me the 15, so I contacted them, and that's why I got the prices on the other tires. And she sent me another bill, I gave it to Elaine, and they paid it for 5%.
I think these are, the numbers here are all good for the new fee. I would go up to $25 on the large truck tires. I know that I think I pay it for Shet Tire when I get new tires put on, and they take my old ones, it might be $40.
Really?
I believe so. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's more than 25. So I would, just because, I mean, we're making a couple bucks on each one.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, we gotta handle them.
We gotta store them, we've got them.
24-inch truck tires, not exactly the most fun to toss.
Well, on that one there, they said the 19.5s, 19 quarter or 19.50, they're what, $7.50 a piece?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we've been getting that $5 for.
Right.
I'm not dealing with 50 cents. I will tell you guys this.
Everything's even
You
dollars.
say they're $7.50, I'm giving you $7 or $8. I'm not dealing with 50 cents.
$7.45 was my.
That would be my, I think if you think that the bicycle, do we get a lot of bicycle and wheelbarrow tires?
I'm gonna, well, this last load, between bicycle, two-wheeler, and wheelbarrow, and the smaller 10-inch wheel for a utility trailer, 12-inch wheel, probably about 30 of them
Oh, wow.
30 of them per load.
for this last load.
And how often, I mean, I know this is a.
Well, we went February, and here it is up.
Okay, so a couple, maybe 2 a
3
year
months,
max.
4 months.
Okay, so 2, 3.
We ship about 3 or 4 times a year, depending on when the last shipment goes out. I can't see us getting a boatload of them myself.
I think so long as you make a little more money on the larger items, I'm fine with
Yep.
having the bicycle.
That was
tires
my
be-
feeling.
Yeah.
Some
Then it
other
gets
really
thrown on the
popular
road.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
They're
don't
gonna go
look
in the
at
trash
it.
bag.
I mean, really, like, you have your tires done at Frechette's, how many people are gonna bring in 20-inch tires anyway, 24-inch?
Yeah, well, I might now that I know it's cheaper.
You gonna bust them yourself?
That's actually not the hard part of the big tires. The small tires that are tough.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's true.
The only thing is, like, I always was pro, extra charge, because we get them, like I had 5 just come in the other day with the highway department, they picked up and stuff. And also, the extra $1 a tire or $2 a tire goes for, just in case there's another increase like we just had.
That,
Yeah.
But $2 a tire doesn't make up $100 a tire.
No.
So I would say that that'd be my only suggestion is we increase those to 25. That way, if that increases too in a future load, maybe.
Well, I'm not seeing it increasing again until after the first of the year.
Okay.
That's usually when it does increase. But there's been some major changes in the recycling world.
So that being said, I make a motion to approve the new tire prices. Do I need to list them all out, or can we just approve
No.
the new tire prices as presented, and increase the large truck 20-inch to 24.5 inch with no wheels accepted to $25 from $20.
Second?
Any discussion?
Do we want to lower bicycle from 3 to 2 or 1? Or keep it at 3?
I think if they're gonna throw them on the side of the road for $3, they're gonna do it for $1 too.
Yeah. Okay.
$2 is less than it used to be.
Yeah.
Any other discussion, or are you good? Is
I don't
everybody feel pretty
know.
good with that?
I don't know how the word got out, because I haven't said anything other than Steve and Keith when I gave her the papers. Had one guy in this weekend, he had some bicycle tires, and I charged him $1 a tire. But he wanted to know how much they'd gone up to now. He heard they were going up to 5.
Well,
Was he gonna
because-
take him home
How
if
the
they're
hell
going
do they know about
Because
it?
it was discussed in the select board
2 weeks
meeting.
ago.
Oh,
And
He
on-
must have zoomed in.
Yeah.
okay,
People
that's
clean
what
out
I'm
the
going, how the
garage.
hell did you even know this?
That's good.
We did talk about
The
it.
takeaways.
Right.
So, was there a second?
Yes.
Yes, second.
Yep.
No
And
more
there was
discussion.
discussion, and then
I did.
Steve,
roll call vote.
You say yes?
Fair, yes.
Schaefer, yes?
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Thank you very much
Thanks,
for coming.
Steve. Thanks,
Okay,
Glenn.
you will do something with this and get me a copy in the near future.
Yes, I will.
My Christmas would be good.
I'm gonna look at my bill next time and see how much I can save by coming up to.
There you go.
Do we want to put anything
You
in
want me to
signage?
pick them up first?
Signage
One of the things,
question?
well, one of the things
Oh,
that
yeah.
Glenn and Alan have mentioned before is people arguing about the fees, and so, I mean, do we wanna have this more than just on the bulletin board? Do we wanna, obviously, the fees are
Was
gonna
there-
change,
I
so
can get a sign made of the grid by Minuteman Press.
Okay.
will we be able
Was-
to change the prices?
Was there an issue last time we
Well, let
like?
me see how much the sign costs.
There
It
wasn't
might not
any
be that
issue
much.
really.
Okay.
You know, sort of, I'm thinking those plastic.
Like I said to
ones.
them, with the construction demolition,
Right.
I've gone up
Yeah, I'm
4
just trying to think of
times
avoiding,
since I started working at the town 30, 40 years ago.
That's not
On the
bad.
cost of construction.
Nothing.
I've gone up, this will be the 3rd time on the tithes. How the hell can they complain?
there's more.
Look how much
this
everything else
document.
around us has
I
gone
just
up.
Yep.
had had
I agree.
Trying to work good deals
Yeah.
now, you know what that is.
Yes, there's more.
Try working good deals and you wouldn't.
Television.
I do every day.
But every day, you know, it's
Okay,
dealing with the people and
so it's expensive.
you give them
Yes,
this
no,
and you
that's
take that. You give and take is shortened right up to very little.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you very much
thanks,
for coming
Glenn.
have
in
a
tonight.
nice night, people.
Bye-bye,
you too.
thanks.
Alright, moving on to Lakes Region Planning Council Open Select Board Position.
Commission.
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 Did I say council?
Yeah.
They must have
Sorry.
corrected.
Yeah, Commission.
I was contacted by Pat Farley, has resigned as of September 14th, so Tamworth needs another representative, and she asked me if I was interested. I hemmed and hawed a bit, but told her because it takes a vote of the planning board as well, that if the planning board wanted me to and the select board did, that I would fill the position. If there's somebody else that's interested, that's fine too.
So the planning board last night did make the appointment, so the planning board appoints, we just sign the paper. We don't have to vote on it.
Ah, okay.
Oh, so I don't need that, ignore the appointment form that's in here.
Well, no,
We still sign.
we sign the appointment form.
Oh,
But we
okay.
don't have to vote to
But
approve.
you've already been appointed, it's like any,
I see.
it's like any
Okay.
committee person or
Yeah.
whatever, it's that standard form, right?
But if there's another member of the select board or somebody has a great candidate in mind,
I think Richard was saying it great.
I was actually thinking of you. I
Gonna nominate?
mean, all right.
Thanks for volunteering, Richard.
sure.
Yeah, if there's
thank
no
you very
vote,
much.
we can move on. Thank you very much for volunteering for that. To old business hiring of temporary part-time code compliance liaison.
So, 2 weeks ago, you met with the candidate. An offer was made, he was accepted, Charlie Townsend. And so now you need to officially hire. And you have a piece of paper right there that will guide you on that.
And do we really think it's only gonna be 2 months?
Well, I think at 2 months, then you decide what you wanted,
Okay,
board would,
because I see this,
it was
this going.
posted for 2 months.
Okay,
And so, it could, yes.
But in the
it's not like the
interview,
unlicensed junkyards aren't gonna disappear anytime soon. So this could go on much longer.
Right.
and
but-
we, during the interview, we made that clear,
Mhm.
so he's aware
Okay.
of that.
Can we start the process soon?
What?
Can we start the process
Yeah,
soon?
yeah.
I make a motion to hire Charlie Townsend to the position of code compliance liaison, a temporary 2-month part-time position with weekly hours capped at 8 hours per week, to be paid at a rate of $22 per hour.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes?
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
So I'm gonna just go back to, if we're done with that, go back to Richard. We probably should make the vote that we accept his appointment by the planning board.
I make a motion that we accept Richard Doucette's appointment by the planning board for the Lakes Region Planning Commission vacancy.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say abstain?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes?
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 4 yes with 1 abstention.
You can vote for yourself.
You could, but it seemed a little
Eager.
icky.
You didn't want it anyway.
Plausible deniability.
So on to
Logo.
the town logo color version
Which you all have in front of you.
somewhere. Here we go. Oh, that looks different.
And you all selected, these three selected this logo to be the town logo at a previous meeting. And they all look so close, it took me a while to figure out what the differences were, but this one has a double rim, they're all slightly different, but basically, these are the color versions of the one you all selected at the
Right.
last meeting.
Right.
Did all presented have, I mean, not that I get to say because I wasn't here, but are they all written in all caps? All the options?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No?
I wanted the incorporated to be much smaller letters, but I was voted down.
Well, they are
We don't-
smaller.
They are smaller.
They're not bold, is what
They're not
that's the
bold,
difference.
right.
And so now you have these 4 colored ones in front of you.
That's too many choices. I like the
I
green
say
with the
bottom
black.
right,
Oh,
personally. Oh, green with black, okay, that worked.
So,
Green with white.
That's
So,
I'm blue with black.
yeah, I don't care.
upper
Anything
right
happens.
hand, upper right hand corner.
That's what I
Upper
said.
right hand.
Bottom right.
Oh,
Yeah.
You got green with white.
Bottom right.
I make
What
a
do you
mo-
think, Bruno?
I'll comment.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
I just think it's outrageous that you have a logo of Tamworth, New Hampshire featuring a mountain in Albany.
it's not in Albany.
Yeah.
That is.
Just a
It
little
is.
bit, teeny bit. Don't
I
tell
didn't know
anybody.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Don't.
the whole thing's in
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Best view is from Tamworth, though.
That's actually a pretty pretty good point, I guess. But
We didn't design the logo, we just had
Correct.
had it
Digitized
colorized
it
and
and colorized it.
digitized.
The current logo also has Shikarawa.
Yeah. But it's a crappier logo.
Yeah, it's
This
the
one's
same.
better.
It's
the
the
lake,
same image,
well,
it's
it's
just not-
it just happens that the mountain is behind the lake.
Right, we're just doing the
We're-
lake.
lake
That's
is what we're-
vague.
It's actually
The
stuck
lake,
wall.
it's the lake.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
lake and the trees.
If we do the bottom right with the white, can she darken that band a little bit more?
We got 2 votes for the upper right.
We have 3 for the bottom.
3 for the
For
bottom.
the
What do we vote on
Yeah.
black or white colors? Vote on black or white letters first.
Oh,
Because
jeez.
you can mix and match any of these, but
Oh, now you tell us.
Well, it depends on if it's a lighter color or dark. I don't care if it's white. I just think that bottom green is too close to all the green in the.
yeah.
And
That's why I
love
I
contrast.
think that the blues. The reason I don't like the blues is because I
Too
think it
much blue.
blends in.
Yeah.
Too much
There's
blue.
not enough distinction. The
Okay,
the
well,
upper, the light green is the one
Do
that.
we want
It's
It's
got better
a
contrast.
different color band?
I liked the darker green.
No, I don't mind the darker one if it's a little darker, so that it's, see how it just blends into
Yep.
that, and it blends into that? So we can go darker,
It's true.
I'm just saying, take it down another
Should we
notch.
see it?
That's
Oh
what I
my
like
God,
about
we
the
have to
contrast here.
put it off for
Yeah.
another 2 weeks.
Yeah. But I look at the blues vertically, horizontally, it's like that blue blends right into the
Yeah,
mountain.
I
and
agree.
that-
I'm just saying, I pretty like the contrast.
Yeah.
That
I
could be-
I got voted down, so I don't care.
We haven't
Do
voted
whatever you
technically
want.
yet.
Yeah.
We haven't voted.
I
I think
wouldn't.
this is the most controversial we've had. So
That's my only opinion,
I
I
knew
don't
it was
really
gonna be
care
the
which
hardest
color,
thing
I
on
just
me
think
to
it
tell
needs
you.
to be
Yeah.
more distinguished from the center logo image. And the only one to me
I
that looks
personally
like
like this one.
distinguishes itself is the lighter one. And it's not because I like that light green, it's just because it's a contrast. So if you like the green with the white, could we see what it looks like if she just darkens it a little bit more?
Why not? We could do other color palettes too, couldn't we?
Purple.
Pink? It'll be a sunset.
Okay,
What about
She's
pastel?
giving you a hairy eyeball.
I noticed.
No, no.
Evil eye.
It's not hair,
we
it's a
can-
full-on
we can
beard
wrap
coming
it up.
yeah, I mean, it's already been
Yeah.
many weeks. I would love to just,
But you like the white letters, is that what you like about the bottom one? The darker color with the white
I
letters?
like the black letters, but I'm, you know,
Yeah. I knew it was a 3rd vote here, but she doesn't get the
I have to vote.
you live over in Sandwich, right?
We talked about changing that.
Right.
I think dark green would be too dark if you get even darker with the green. I think it'd be gloomy looking.
Am I supposed to say something?
I would highly recommend just selecting one of these 4.
Yeah, I don't care.
Presented by a professional graphic designer.
Right.
I defer to the wisdom of my fellow board members.
If we
Happily.
get crap for this, I'm gonna have to. I'll take
I'm
it
gonna
later.
say I
It's
do
not
not.
an if, it's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
I make a motion to choose the bottom right corner as presented
Second.
for our town logo.
This one.
Yes. Dark green border with
Black,
white
letters.
White letters.
letter.
White letters, yeah.
Or, no.
No.
That's it.
Why don't you number them so that,
Yeah, I'll circle it.
so they agree on what, 4?
Yeah, it's number
Okay.
4.
Just so there's no question.
Well, it would be, I mean, anyway,
Yeah.
Okay.
that's,
Yes.
Yeah.
Green with white letters.
Okay,
you made it so much like
Roll
one
call
that
vote.
you
And it was
just
seconded.
switch it on
It was
us.
seconded.
Any discussion?
Roll call vote?
You said no.
Fair yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Look at that.
That's my solidarity.
Roberts, yes. 4 yes with 1 no.
Way to stand your ground,
Yeah,
Richard.
sticking with it.
I kinda
I'm gonna
like that
print out
one.
my own and hang it on the house.
We could do it as like a Halloween prank.
now
or
as
something.
this isn't actually on the agenda, so maybe we can't talk about it, but now there's a discussion about,
What to do with it?
That's a different agenda item.
Yeah.
alright.
Because we haven't decided,
We've gotten
Any
some,
budget.
we've made progress.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Steve.
Thank you.
Steve
Okay,
is
you're Mr.
seconding
Second,
tonight.
okay.
He's the second.
De facto.
Moving on to townhouse design update.
And that should be townhouse fire escape design.
Excuse me. Townhouse fire escape design update.
Uh, So I think this was emailed around, I don't think we have any printouts, but I went out with a tape and located the stone wall, and which we presume to be the boundary, but we've had way too many boundary discussions these days, and they're never as simple as we think they are. And also located the former Tamworth Inn so we could see the proximity of things to the fire escape. We met on site, and Melanie raised the issue of the snow comes off the roof now and can occasionally get to the Tamworth Inn. And if you extend the roof with a fire escape, it's going to go even further. So I asked Phil to skinny down the width of the treads so it wouldn't shoot so far over, and think about whether you can make that piece of the roof steeper, or I don't know whose idea it was, maybe it was his as well. If you make that fire escape roof shingles, the snow will stop on there, it won't slide like crazy. So there's ways to deal with it. So he made it a little skinnier. It's still to code. I'm pretty sure everything about it is to code, and the fire chief has looked at it and he likes it. I did send it to David Grass. He hasn't seen the latest one with the dimensions on it, but he did see the prior one. So the graphics are interesting. It did, once you put the building there, you can see how the whole thing is, the whole new fire escape is fairly far back in the building, which is good because it's less of snow clearing. Because the bottom of the stairs is right at the back corner of the building. So I think the design is good. We still could maybe seek other input from other individuals. I haven't heard back from the neighboring property yet, but I think it looks good. One crazy idea I had about an hour ago was, well, all staircases, they seem to spiral down clockwise. I assume that's not a code issue. It could spiral in the other direction. And is there some benefit to that? You could then have a much bigger landing. If you come out of the building and you have to get to the far side of the landing, now the landing's much bigger. Would that be beneficial for purposes of getting somebody in a stretcher out of the upstairs? I don't really know. So that was a crazy thought I had. So the bottom stairs then would be closer to the building as they meet the ground, and maybe that's better from a snow standpoint. I don't really know. But did anybody have any thoughts on?
Are you gonna ask the architect that spiral question?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
I don't have.
No, I mean, I like the design. You could, there are other ways to stop the snow.
Isn't there like little stoppers? That
The
go
little
on?
Yeah,
cricket
yeah,
thing,
the little
those
I don't know.
things.
snowbirds,
Yeah.
whatever they're
Snow-
called.
And Rick was there. Rick said 30 years of roofing. I've seen those things go flying off roofs left and right.
Oh, the snowbirds.
Right.
Yeah, they get torn off. Especially with that big metal roof above it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be enough just to put them on the small roof. You'd have to do the upper roof too. But I don't know how much of an issue that is. It would be interesting to hear from the owners of the Tamworth Inn
Yeah.
what they think.
So I guess I'd like to wait to hear back from Mr. Grass and chat with Phil, the architect, about, hey, is there some benefit to spiraling the other way?
Yeah.
Would it give us a bigger landing to get somebody in a stretcher out
You
that
still have to get around the one at the lower level.
Yeah. What I don't want to do is if you've got somebody in a stretcher coming out of the building, would they have to start tilting it to get it down the stairway?
Yeah,
But if you have a bigger landing, you don't have to tilt it until you're out on the landing.
yeah.
Because that's, clearly if there's somebody on a stretcher, they're going out that, they're not going down the
Not going down the
interior
front
stairs.
stairs.
So those are the two pieces of information we can still get. And what I'd like to do is get a decision again, and then put this out to bid and see what kind of costs we get, and then we know if we can build the darn thing this year or if it has to happen next year.
Now, when you exit that fire escape, you go around the building to the kind of I'll call it the back, away from
Yeah.
the road, right? That's the. So with the roof being steeper or shorter, would the snow unload into the pathway, or does it already?
No. The way it, have you seen the latest design? It's in the same pitch, same direction as the upper roof. So it just sends the snow further toward the Tamworth Inn,
Okay.
but it doesn't go in the path.
Okay.
And the stairway ends at the back of the building, which is one of the great benefits of this, so you don't have to shovel
Up
as
to the
far.
front, yeah.
Yep.
That's the best part of it, I think. And it's less steep, the whole thing is less steep.
Yeah.
you know, the only downside is it's a bigger structure, so it costs a little more, and it gets the snow further out, you know, toward the boundary. But I think in the vast majority of the cases, there's still sufficient place for the snow to land.
Do we need some type of vote?
I think not till,
tonight.
maybe at the next meeting,
Okay.
just to nudge things along at the next meeting. So in the architect's contract is to put together the bid documents and bid it out. So that's why we should decide to let him do that. And then we'll see how much it costs and how do we pay for it. I think there's 28,000 raised at
29.
town meeting, but we're spending 14 or so. We're spending half of it now. So there's no way we'll be able to build it with the remaining money, because that budget item was based on a prior bid to build it. So either we use other funds, or we get additional funds at town meeting. So it's either like ARPA funds this year. I mean, nobody's building anything this year, it's August already, but at least we could sign a contract or something.
And you'd wanna do that so that you could encumber whatever was
Yeah,
left
right.
over.
Right.
Over,
So we
right.
should, ideally, we'd like to bid it out and sign a contract before the close of the year. So, that's that.
Alright, moving on to the administrator report.
It's been an interesting week. Emily's been taking care of the 40 kids in her camp, so I've been on my own, which it's been quiet enough, that's worked out. I've started to organize my files to get budgeting kind of laid out and thinking about that. We got our first warrant article in from the Energy Committee. And what else? Oh, I have an agenda in front of me. What's the number? The bank balance is $3,942,000. Spent some time with Annie and Bob talking about the whole banking thing. It's an interesting discussion. It's amazing to me that it has such a good outcome. And so that's nice. Yeah, that's kind of what's going on. And I've been interviewing for various positions.
Alright, we move on to the signature file. I make a motion to approve the select board meeting minutes for August 10th, 2023.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
There, yes.
Schaefer, yes?
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes for August 10th, 2023 under RSA 91-A:3-2C Session 1, RSA 91-A:3-2C Session 2, RSA 91-A:3-2C Session 3, and RSA 91-A:3-2C Session 4.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
There, yes.
Schaefer, yes?
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the notice of intent to cut for map 419, lot 7, the access road being Hackett Hill Road, as well as map 411, lot 33, the access being Route 113A, Great Hill Road.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Question.
Yep.
The one that happens to be on my street. Do you know, is that up in the state forest, the former
Yep.
Boy Scout?
Yep, and they have placed a bond.
Okay. You said yes.
There, yes.
Schaefer, yes?
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the, oh, we already did that. Make a motion to approve the investment policy revised August.
Oh, Annie was supposed, I'm sorry. As a part of the conversation with Bob and Annie, he looked quickly at the investment policy and made a change to it so that if Annie decided to go to, it's just one line, that we could move funds to the PDIP. She's decided not to do that, so I actually
So I
don't,
don't think we need to
I don't
vote
think
on
you
that
need to
tonight.
vote on it, and we'll let Bob do a more thorough.
Okay.
'cause
Review of it?
Yeah, because she's not moving the funds, so it's sort of a non-issue.
I rescind my motion.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the veterans tax credit for map 403, lot 15.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes?
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the elderly tax credit for map 215, lot 65.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes?
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
Just a note on that, that application was received by April 15th. It took that person this long to get their paperwork in, just to be clear.
I make a motion to approve the payroll manifest in the amount of $48,431.82.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes?
I make a motion to
Wait.
approve.
We got this far with the roll call.
Prentice,
Oh, sorry.
yes.
Catch.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $486,550.94.
Second.
It's coming.
I got you.
I see that.
The school is $275,000. Rental, what is this? EQ rental.
Equipment rental.
Equipment rental is $11,598. AJ Coleman is $11,173. And deed prep,
So this is the big one, and the amount is $146,000.
$146,776.
When we sell a property, we hold the money until the court goes through its process. And so there's 2 interpleters were completed, and so we are sending out money to people who should be getting it.
Was that from the,
It's from
Yeah.
2022's
Oh.
property sales.
okay,
Oh, it takes that long.
Yeah, it took that long because it goes through the courts.
at least we could have earned some interest on it.
Well, they would get the interest.
Oh.
Can you repeat the number again? You spoke at the same time, you said that.
$146,776.
Thank you.
And 0 cents. Accounts payable, we're still.
Need a roll
Got
call.
a roll call.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes?
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. The cash used to date is $7,687,862.24. Select board update, Richard.
Went to a Conservation Commission meeting last week. Was that last week? I think it was last week, on the 14th. Gave them an update on a couple of things we were dealing with. If you recall, Nelson came here a couple of weeks ago and talked about a potential for a conservation easement on the Chicorowa Dam property. So they talked about that, and they've gone back to the landowner with some questions because it doesn't really appear to fit the type of property that meets their guidelines either, so that's still kind of up in the air. But I wouldn't say it's looking great, but I don't think they've closed the door on it. I've been wondering about the broadband expansion that we heard a lot about in the spring, so I reached out to the New Hampshire Office of Broadband Initiatives. Didn't even know there was such a thing, but there is. Fidium is the name of the company. It's a rebranding of Consolidated Communications, and they're right now working to engineer all the lines going to all of the residences. There's almost 25,000 addresses that'll be served in Carroll County by the expansion, and they hope that the engineering will be done by the end of this year, and they can start construction early in 2024. Once the engineering is done, they'll be able to provide all the towns with a construction plan and with dates on when things might be happening in their
And
town.
to that end, we will have some guests here who are attending this, who are appointed to the CCCD committee
Oh, great.
to report on that too.
Great. The bad news is the Northern Borders Regional Commission has made their decisions on grants, and we were not selected. So that $1 million grant from the Northern Borders we did not get. They do still have a lot of federal funds to expend, and will be getting more. So they were thinking of having another grant round this fall, but their staff is really maxed out with the 70 grants that they've just issued. So their latest thinking is they'll have 2 grant rounds next year. And I I think the question for us is, would we be in any better place next year to compete? So I reached out to this New Hampshire representative who, because the Northern Borders Regional Commission doesn't actually make the decision on the grants. The state of New Hampshire makes the decision on the New Hampshire grants. So I reached out to that person to find out how we scored, to see, okay, if it could we compete if there's another round next year. The Northern Borders Regional Commission, their mission is economic development.
Right.
So building a recycling center, it's a hard match. So if we think we'd have a better chance just because, you know, the high priority projects are out of the way, then maybe we'd sit around and wait till next spring and try again. But if it's just not the kind of project they're going to fund, then let's not worry about that. So that's unfortunate, not a huge surprise, but we're still waiting to hear from the EPA, SWIFR program, Solid Waste Infrastructure Recycling Program. They should be deciding in the next couple of weeks. So we should know any day now on whether the EPA grant is in hand.
Did the state get back to you with our number as far as where we ranked?
Not yet. I sent an email to Steve Fortier, and he's going to get back to me, and then we'll look at it and see. Maybe the whole TSIC will sit down and look at it. So I think if we get neither grant, then then TSIC will sit down and make a recommendation here as to what we should do. Do we take the money we have and build the best we can, or do we, try again next year? And that's where it sits. So hopefully we'll hear early from the EPA, just so we kind of know where we stand.
Yeah.
So that's all I got.
Let's see, I went to the Tamworth Foundation annual meeting, and it's an amazing foundation. In spite of their endowment actually didn't do particularly well in the last couple of years because of the volatile markets, but in spite of that, they handed out more money in grants than they ever have. So they're doing okay. And I still say it's worth it to go for David's report.
They still say what?
For David Little's financial report.
Reports are,
He's the best.
yeah.
Let's see, so I went to the Cook Memorial Library Board of Trustees meeting. They were involved in this week's summer enrichment program, providing space and programming cooperation with 4-H and the rec department. That's all going great. They have a lot of programs in August. Look at their newsletter to see a description of them. They had a block party out here on the front yard at the end of the summer reading program. Music by Mitch Alden and pizza from White Gates Farm. They are going to be doing an after-school program in cooperation with Tamworth Rec, starting with the Lego Club in September. Let's see, they doing a radon detection program sponsored by Green Mountain Conservation Group, and they actually are adding radon detectors to their library collection for people to take out and use. Amy Carter went to the Bear Camp Center this summer with books to give away. She went twice, I think. And let's see, they are take part in the library will take part in a diaper drive to restock the diaper depot at Tri-County Cap for people in need. They're adding a new staff position, just 2 hours a week, for the after-school program, that Lego Club in September, but then I think there'll be other aspects of it as the year goes on. They got Paul Buska to put the post in on their new steps so that Now they just have to get railing and finish the walkway to the street.
That's taken a while.
I know, that program is just dragging out. Project, I mean. Oh, the bookmobile committee, you know, they've been, it's a regional group, Northern New Hampshire Library Cooperative of Libraries, and they've been looking for a van, and it's been very hard to find one, and it turns out they can get electric vans, there are several available, but you can't get a gas-powered van the same size. Because they're too sought after. So now they're looking into that option, getting an electric van. And that's it from the library. I don't know if you remember the electric meter on the townhouse is in a bad position. It gets dripped on by the roof on the vault, and it's been rotting the corner board that the meter is mounted on. And actually this summer it's been so wet that water actually made it inside the cable and ran down into the service panel. So, bad location. So I filled out a lengthy form online with Eversource to see if they could come out and take a look at moving it to another location. And they contacted Gus Descoulias, who I had mentioned as an electrician. So Gus and I met over there about getting the cable. Well, I was proposing that they move the meter to, as you face the building, the right-hand corner board. It's on the left-hand front corner board now. And he saw there was trouble with getting the cable from the meter to the panel inside the building because of some hot and cold air ducts that are in the way. I'm not sure that's going to be a stop. It may not be a final problem. We might be able to fix it.
You can't just box the meter in? Build a little house around it?
No, the meter's okay. It's the cable, now it's just getting, if they agree to move the meter, it's getting the cable from the meter to the...
No, I'm saying instead of moving it.
Oh.
If the problem's weather coming on, you
Oh.
just build a little box around it with like a
Well,
little roof
we'd
over
still,
it?
if, worst case scenario, we'd still have to have Eversource take the meter off the building so we could repair the woodwork. And then we could put it back in the same location. I guess we could try to keep the water off it somehow.
Just the vault. The vault doesn't belong there. The building being in better shape if the vault wasn't there.
Exactly, but I'm sure that would be very unpopular to propose removing it.
Even though it's empty.
Yeah.
Nobody uses it, but
Yeah.
still.
That's all I got.
Okay, all my meetings were canceled these last 2 weeks. But I do have to announce that on the Tamworth Economic Development Council, Richard Collins and Matt Griffin have given their resignation. So thank you, Richard and Matt, for your service, and we're looking for anyone who might want to volunteer on the Economic Development Council.
What's that look like?
As far as volunteer-wise,
Yeah, like if I mean, you've got,
yep, it's one week, one meeting a month at its height. Typically, it's once every couple of months, and we have kind of a new committee at this point, Pat having resigned, I think, after the last meeting, so looking for some new blood and some feedback on past events and how to make new events happen in town.
We should post that on the town website.
Yeah. That's all I have.
So I also went to the Tamworth Foundation meeting, which was great. Just hearing all of the projects in town, from like very small discrete things to the History Center and the Arts Council, which both raised quite substantial endowments, and the Tamworth Foundation gave a matching fund. So those were like perpetuity gifts, which was great. We had planning board subdivision work session a couple of weeks ago, and then we had planning board meeting last night. Kind of basic.
Hey, next week I've got a CIP meeting coming up. I did sit into the planning board meeting the other night, and that was super interesting. There's a lot of subdivision stuff, and other than that, that's pretty much it. Board on the CIP meeting after we meet. We didn't have one last month because we had all the work done that we needed to for the following meeting.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, that's it for me. So moving on to public input. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a question from another town. They noticed when you do your notice for intent to cuts, they had just asked, do you make sure that that map and lot number resident is paid in full on their property taxes before you authorize it? If there's been cases
Emily
where,
does.
oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay, because there's cases where some towns don't, and then the person comes in, logs their property, takes the money and goes and doesn't pay the taxes. So I was just wondering if you had that in your process.
Interesting.
Thank you for that question. That's a good point.
When Emily came on, she was trained by the DRA person, and so she got a good, sort of process.
Like it also be in the motion it says, and taxes were paid. So
Oh,
they would
that's
say, put an
interesting.
extra check in there and make sure.
Okay,
Oh,
we can do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Worthwhile.
Selectmen meetings every week or every other?
For now,
Every other.
they're gonna continue as every other week for now.
Every other?
Yep.
Thank you.
If we get busier, then we'll move it to every week again. So, any other public input?
This is Maureen. I have some comments. First of all, it's been a very good meeting, a very interesting meeting. Thank you very much, Emery, because I think you've handled things very well. And I want to also thank Stephen for your engagement as the liaison with the transfer station, because I think it's sounded to me really positive tonight with the reports that Glenn was able to give and the information he conveyed. And the issue of dealing with the wedding venues and waste that they may create is really an interesting one. It sounds like the Economic Development Committee has really been decimated from what you just described, Stephen, but I was thinking they might be a group that could help the board work, with businesses on an issue like this. And the other thing that occurred to Jim and me just kind of sitting together about this is, is there an industry standard for wedding venues? What do they do about waste, and do they pass charges on to their customers? So just some thoughts. I think it certainly is very interesting to realize how much they contribute to our waste stream in the town. And nice to think about, learning more about that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Interesting idea.
Thank you very much.
Is there any other public input? Hearing no more public input, I make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:3 2E, Session 3.
Second?
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Very yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. We are now in non-public at 7:38 p.m.
Keats,
Just look at my calendar.
I make a motion to come out of non-public at 8 p.m.
Second?
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Very yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Minutes are not sealed.
And I just wanted to mention, looking at my calendar, so we don't meet again till the 7th, right?
Right.
So,
I am leaving for a 2-week trip on the 7th, so I will not be here. So I'll miss 2 meetings. If there's something that you need me for, then we would need to have a meeting on the 31st. But I assume it'll all happen fine without me.
You'll be out of Zoom reach if we needed you.
Correct.
Okay,
I'll be on the top of mountains in Italy.
sounds
Yeehaw.
good.
so we can get there.
Maybe. I'll see if
And
my
I just
phone
wanted
works.
to note that as we are in meetings every other week, that there might be times where I need you to sign AP in the middle.
Yep.
Yep.
But, we'll do it as needed.
Can we sign that without a meeting?
AP, yeah.
Ready.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
At 8:01 or something?
8:01.